well, it's time to start making our skateboarder dude's head looking more like a head instead of a big block on his shoulders. So let's get with it. I'm going to turn off Mesh Smooth so you can see what we're doing here, and go into vertices, and we're going to zoom in on the head here. And you know, in fact, I'm going to go into edges first. You'll see why in a second here. When we were working on subdividing this head manually, you know, making some cuts in here, I was thinking that we were going to need these edges, but we really aren't. And that's going to be nice because, remember, we were going to have to figure out what we were going to do here with these triangles. Well, we don't need them. So you'll see what I'm talking about in just a sec here. So let's go ahead and just get rid of these guys. So I'm going to select all these edges that are going up this way. And then I'm going to select, rotate around just a little bit here. There we go. And select these as well. Make sure everything is on top as well. There we go. Okay, by getting rid of these, that'll take care of our little problem down here, and it'll actually make this work out a lot better now that I've put some thought into how we're going to really do the head here. So let's go ahead and remove. Now remember, with vertices and edges, you remove them. You use the remove button. With polygons, you delete them because you intend to make a hole or get rid of a polygon in that regard. But with edges and vertices, if you were to actually delete an edge or a vertex, you're going to end up deleting at least 2 polygons and sometimes multiple polygons. More than that. Okay, so this is really kind of the way we're going to be dealing with this here. We're going to be shaping this out so it's a little bit more, you know, like a face, shape of a face. And well, let's start here. I need my move tool, so let's grab move this up a little bit. Move this over just a little bit up that way. Move this in just a little bit here, and we're going to, we're going to get this shaped out just roughly in a couple of different perspectives here. Move this. This is going to need to probably come out a little farther. Now I have ignore back facing turned on right now. I'm selecting each one of these polygons. I may as well move these over a little bit. Kind of get them centered in this area. This is a process to making a head, a humanoid head, at least anyway, that is pretty standard, pretty straightforward. When you've done it a couple of times, you realize that there's a sort of, I wouldn't say a formula, but at least a good starting point, a way to get going on it. And this is basically that process that we're using right now, where we shape the head out in one view. From the front and kind of get that the face area. I need to pull that back in a little bit. And we need to do it in the back as well. But you can see that we're sort of shaping the area that's going to ultimately be more sort of the front of the face. Oh, I just realized I forgot to do something here. When you delete edges, very important, when you delete edges, you have to remember to delete the vertices that are left behind as well. So let's take care of that before I forget. I should have thought about that right away. So we're going to not delete, but remove. When you remove edges, there's always going to be those vertices that are left behind as a result of where the edges were crossing other edges. And so we'll remove those guys. There we go. And we're going to remove these too. So, I mean, I was going to notice it eventually. I'm glad I noticed it sooner than later, just so I didn't mess us both up here. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. And there you go. Okay, now let's remove those. That's better. So let's rotate it around a little bit again here. Now I can pull that face in. It makes more sense now. Or actually, in a way, we can sort of round the head off, because our character isn't a typical, human character. He's meant to be a cartoon character, and cartoon characters have exaggerated characteristics. And, he's got these really sort of exaggerated cheeks and so forth. So I'm going to pull out. And you notice that I'm not, looking at our template or anything when I'm doing this. And the reason why is because I know what I want my character to look like. Okay, you guys are having to follow along and kind of just trust me that I'm doing, what needs to be done, and you can trust me. But the idea is that I know what I want my character to look like. I don't need to use more than just maybe a reminder from my concept drawing as a reference. That can be helpful. Sometimes I don't even need to look at that. Okay, so let's do the back here. Do the same kind of a thing that we were doing in the front to the back. We're starting to round the head off, and we're doing it in a very logical process. We're pulling these vertices in, and notice that we're trying to make shapes that are sort of this circular kind of like shape. And you'll see what I mean as we go along. I'm going to be talking a lot about that. They're called edge loops, and it's very, very important that we we understand the concept of edge loops, especially when it comes to things like the face, and if you were to animate the face, like create expressions, maybe even if the character was going to talk, creating those facial, lip, mouth, nose, all those kinds of things that happen when we speak. The directions that those features go make a huge difference in the way we operate. So let's take a look at it from the side now, and we're going to need to pull these down and in on this. Whoops, that's not right. Not sure what I just did. There we go. Let's try this. There we go. That's better. So we're going to pull these in, and we're rounding this off. Creating a shape, and really what I'm focusing on more than anything else is this flow of edges. I've talked about the flow of edges before. We don't want them to dramatically change directions unless that is, the purpose. So I'm going to move this one down a little bit more. These need to come in a little bit farther because we're going to need to pull those other row of edges in also. Okay. Oops. And this can come down just a little bit. And let's see, this is going to be approximately where the eye is going to be. Actually, this is going to be more like here, so I need to, let me see, I've got, how many rows of edges do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I get too many, 1, 2. So let's see, let me rotate around and see what's going on here. Yeah, I think I need to delete a row of edges. I think I can get rid of this row of edges right here. We want to keep this as simple in the beginning as possible because we're going to be cutting unique edges in to create the shapes that we need for the features of the face and so forth. And I really think that I have, maybe one too many rows of edges here. Let me just kind of think about this. This one's going down that way. This actually really needs to come down, so maybe it's not as bad as I think. Bring this down for now. Yeah, I have one too many here, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this row of edges right here, up here, where the forehead is. Really not necessary at this point. I don't want to really overly complicate things, like I said. So let's go to Edge Mode and select the edges that I want to get rid of. And remove. And then don't forget to get rid of the vertices that went along with them. Okay, I'm going to remove those. Alright, now I think we're, yeah, this is going to work out better. This is definitely going to work out better. Okay. So what we're doing here, once again, is trying to create this, essentially the shape of the face. That one's probably okay like that. Let's move this in. And now what this is going to end up being is kind of more the eye area. This needs to come up maybe a little bit. Go about like that. Yeah, something like that. And then this one can come up. And maybe bring this in. Oops. Maybe bring this in just a little bit here. Hang on. Yeah, right about there. And then this one a little bit in as well. This needs to go up quite a bit, as does this. And this can come down just a little bit here, I think. What I'm creating in this area right here is going to be sort of the eye cavity area. Okay, imagine that it's almost like goggles. Imagine that the character is going to have goggles on right now. That's kind of like a good way to think of it when you're working on this kind of stuff. And like I said, it's kind of a standard approach to creating characters' features. Okay, now this is kind of a standard feature right here. Features that's coming together in the front. The side of it doesn't look too bad. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this back part here now. Same basic idea. And I want you to notice what's happening here with these edges. Notice how it's creating sort of a circular kind of pattern here. That's what we're after. And we want that to be a similar pattern to some degree on the face or the front of the head, in other words. So we have this sort of circular pattern going on here. And I'm going to take a look at this from the top view just to make sure that it's looking like it's starting to round off a little bit. I'd say that perhaps this could come in just a tad. So round that off a bit. Now if we were to turn on Mesh Smooth, it would look okay. It's not going to look like a person's face or anything yet, but it's getting a better shape. Notice how nice that shape now looks with the, with this going on. Now the only other issue that we have here with that triangular thing is right here, and we're going to see what we can do to fix that in a little bit. In fact, I think I have an idea right now that maybe we could go ahead and do it, because we're also going to be cutting making some cuts around here for the t-shirt. Okay, and then bringing the neck in. The neck is rather stout right now for our cartoon character. He looks a little chunky, so the neck is going to be smaller and so forth. But one of the things that we can do, remember we have that 5-sided, we have a 4-sided polygon right now. So yeah, let's hold off on it for right now. Let's hold off on it. We're going to come up with a solution for that in a little bit. I'll just leave it alone. Anyway. So now we're starting to get that natural shape of the head. I think actually this could come down a little bit more, and this could come down and make it a little bit more of a naturally round shape here. And I don't know, maybe this could come in. I don't want to get too picky with this just yet. But the idea here is that we want to have this sort of, goggle-like shape for the eyes. Probably come in just a little bit more, and this could probably come in just a little bit there. Sort of goggle-like shape, and we're going to extrude out a nose from this area right here. Now, the idea is that we want to have this circular shape for the face that's going to create more edges going in a circle around here like this, but we're also going to have edges going around in a circle like this, and then ultimately in a circle around the eyes. And I'm going to explain this from an anatomical point of view that hopefully you can visualize somewhat. The muscles in the face, we have so many muscles in our face. There's almost as many muscles just in our face as there are on the rest of our body. The idea with the muscles in the face is there are a lot of really round muscles, and it allows for us to be able to make the expressions that we do with our faces, right? He's going to have kind of chubby cheeks, so I'm going to pull those out just a little bit. Pull that out and maybe forward later on. But anyway, so the idea is that you have muscles that go around your mouth that allow us to move our mouths in the way that we can, and create expressions with with our eyes, and wrinkle our foreheads and everything else because of these circular muscles. So that's the way that we want our edges to flow on the face, is in a circular fashion. Okay, so let's get going here with this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding a little bit more detail and create more of a goggle-like shape in here, and we're going to use that technique that we used earlier with a triangle and five-sided that we turn into two four-sided polygons. So let's get our cut tool, and we're going to start by cutting from right here to here, and then just go in here, and there's that, and then from here to here, over to here. Okay, like I said, five-sided polygon here, triangle here, very easy solution. Boom, and boom. Now, what that's going to do, we're going to need to move these polygons, the vertices over just a little bit. So let's get out of the cut tool, and let's move this over just a tad, move this over just a tad, move this over just a tad. Okay. We're going to move this up just a little bit, so we end up with a sort of less of a straight polygon there, but more of this kind of goggle shape that I was talking about. Pull this one down just a little bit, pull this one up just a bit. Okay, there we go. So that's pretty good. Let's pull this down. This is going to need to be sort of a cheek area. Alright, so let me rotate around. That's not looking too bad. Now that one will come out a little bit more because, like I said, it's going to be sort of a cheek area anyway. Same thing with that. Come out just a little bit. There we are. So we're now making an actual eye cavity here. So we actually have this nice shape here that's going to end up being sort of the eye area, and we're going to extrude a nose out from here. In fact, we'll probably end up extruding the nose out from this area right here and adjusting it so that he has like sort of this little cartoon-like nose. It's not going to be a real complicated nose. It's not going to be like a regular human nose, which is quite complicated but can be done very effectively using the same exact method. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to doing that. I think before we do, let's not get too fixated in one area here. We're going to need another cut going this way because we're going to end up doing a similar kind of a thing for the mouth area here. So let's make a few cuts that are going to take care of that area here. So let's make this cut going all the way around. Okay, there we go. And this is going to be really useful to us later on when we're trying to shape out the chin. Let's do this also. So now we have those there. We should do the same thing on the bottom. Now we're making some triangles, but we're going to take care of those later on, as I said. That'll also help us to sort of begin to create our sort of, in fact, right away, now that I see it, very easy solution. All we got to do here is to get out of the cut tool and select that edge right there and remove it. And now look what we have. Four-sided, 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 four-sided. See how that works? And now we can sort of rearrange the vertices a little bit so that it's not such a strange shape, and start creating this sort of roundish kind of mouth area that I was talking about earlier. Look what's going on here, right? See this circular pattern that's starting to happen, at least on the bottom part right here. And that's so much what we're really after here. I can move some of these vertices up. And then I can move this up as well. We'll end up with more of a rounded kind of chin shape, especially that of a boy. That is, let's not get too carried away here. We need to kind of stay focused on the idea at hand. So let me think here. This is still bugging me, but I gotta leave it alone for now. We'll be able to worry about that later on. That triangle that's down here. Okay, so we're keeping it all four-sided. That's one of the major things that we want to try to do here. Let's move this back a little bit. Create that better shape for the face. Okay. Same thing for the eye area. Probably could come in a little bit more too. You know, bring the cheek out a little bit more. Maybe bring this part back in. That's looking better. Okay, coming along nicely. Okay, so the key here is that, that we want to create these edge loops going around here, and I really think that what we could do here is create a loop that goes all the way around and up the top of the head. Okay, and that's going to create that, continue with that whole concept of that circular pattern going around the head. Cut tool. Now this is going to create a triangle down here, but we'll work that out later also. This will allow us to round out the head better as well. Okay, so let's see, what can we do about that triangle? I'm thinking that if we go from here to here, yep, if we make a cut from here to here, no, we don't want to get rid of that. However, if we make a cut from, I was thinking if we made a cut from here to here, because this is actually a five-sided polygon. Let me think. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to go from here to there. Now we're set. It's going to be a four-sided polygon. This will allow for this to, let's get out of there. This will allow for us to sort of round this off a little bit more. Okay, see what we got going on here? See the roundness? All four-sided polygons working out really nicely. See, it is. It's like a puzzle. But, you know, it's sort of a puzzle that I've solved before, you know. So it's not like I'm solving it for the very first time. But there are you know, unique qualities to this, you know, character's head that are very different from other characters that I've made before. And so we just have to kind of, you know, use the same starting point and then decide how do we adjust it to make it work for us. You know, these polygons, for instance, I think it should go back a little bit farther. We should you know, create this flow of edges that's a little bit more uniform and that is flowing a little more nicely with the character. We might need to do something about you know, this area right here. Maybe this needs to go a little bit more forward. You know, go back more. Yeah, up a little bit like that. And so we end up with this. You know, once again, this is a little bit more forward. Fortunately, because of the hair and everything, we're not going to have to worry about ears with this character. I shouldn't say fortunately, it's just that, you know, there's only so much that I can expect you guys to do in 8 weeks or so. So we want to keep this reasonable and yet fun, and you know, and still a interesting character. We need to do the same. We have the same issue down here, of course, in the back with that. We'll work that out. We'll figure that out. We may find that we need to make a cut all the way down anyway, just because of the nature of, or heck, I mean, it may turn out that we can actually end up hiding that triangle down someplace inside the shirt, which isn't really going to matter that much. So we'll figure that out in a little bit. I got to stop fixating on that, don't I? Okay, so here's the basic part of our character, of our head. Let's see what we got going on now with the rounding off this face and stuff. So we don't need too much more detail with this character. We do need to create a mouth, and of course shape this a little bit more. This should be pulled back a little bit. Trying to keep these videos reasonably, short for you guys, so that they're not like okay. Move this over just a little bit, make that a little more round. Okay, let's mess with the eyes here for just a little bit, because this is another really simple example where we make more circles and we end up with 3- and 5-sided polygons that we fix. It's a very, very common and very effective, useful approach to doing edge loops for certain objects. So now we have a place where the eyeball ultimately is going to be, and I wasn't that careful about doing that. I'm just going to move the vertices around a little bit anyway. So I'm going to cut from here, from this edge to that corner, okay, to that vertex, from this edge to this vertex, from this edge to this vertex, and from this edge to this vertex, okay? And in so doing, now this is going to be sort of this eyebrow area, so we're going to be adjusting this quite a bit. Let's get out of the cut tool, and let's start moving some of these around. He needs to have fairly large eyes. He's a he's a cartoon character. We want him to have large eyes. We're going to open up this eye cavity area a little bit more, this sort of general area for the eye, so that we can actually create. Now this is going to literally be his. This is going to really be his eye cavity. That's where the eyeball is going to go. So we want to pull this out, make it fairly large. And fairly round. Now, I could be going a lot faster with this, but I'm trying to be fairly methodical so you can follow what I'm doing, and hopefully that's helping. So here we go. We got this fairly large eye cavity area, and literally what we're going to do is we're going to create some more edge loops around this area right here, and the purpose of that is so that we can shape this around an eyeball ultimately. Okay, move this over a little bit more, and this needs to go up a bit. Center this in there a little bit better. Let's go up a bit. I'm sort of looking at my character and I'm going, yeah, it's kind of coming along the way I want it to. Okay, now once again we're going to create a triangle shape here ultimately and do the same kind of approach here, where we end up creating a 5-sided polygon. But the thing that's nice about this, we can come back into here, and it's okay inside of here to have some triangles, because like I said, that's ultimately going to end up being an area where we're going to create more edge loops. And we'll be able to perhaps even delete the polygons inside of here, because they don't need to be. We can actually afford to have a hole there. That would be okay. Okay, so yeah, I think we're doing pretty good now. Pretty good shape. We got that going. Okay, not trying to create a bunch of features here. We got to be careful about that. I think I should pull this down a little bit more. Round off this head a bit more. See how that looks. Maybe even bring it in this way a little bit. Perhaps a little bit with this vertex as well. Okay, so let's make some of these edge loops I was talking about. We're going to have to zoom in pretty tight here so we can really see what we're doing here. Okay, let's get the cut tool. And as we do this, we're going to end up just making nothing but four-sided polygons all the way around the outside here. It's kind of cool how that works out. Okay, so there's that. Let's do another row. So we have enough to work with here. This is going to allow us to really shape the eye. And once again, it's going to be a simple, eye area, cartoon-like. So we don't need to be too crazy with the detail. But now what we're going to do is we're going to create some more edge loops here inside of the eye also, but the way that we're going to do it is by extruding the polygons inward, and that's going to create some edge loops inside of there so that we can actually shape those. We'll be able to actually create some eyelids from this whole, approach to doing these edge loops and stuff here as well. So let's get out of the cut tool, and let's select these polygons here. And we're going to get the extrude tool. And I'm going to rotate a little bit so we can see this extruding the correct way. Extrude those in. And we're going to extrude it several times. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. That should be enough. Alright. And now what we probably can do, I'm not going to do it yet. In fact, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude it one more time, but I'm going to extrude it way inside the head. Okay? There we go. Now that means that when I turn the symmetry modifier off, I'll be able to see these and select them really easy and delete them if I want to. That's probably going to be the easiest way to do it. But the main thing is we want to have this extruded quite a ways inside the head, so we'll check that. And now we have eye sockets. What do you think about that? Turn on mesh smooth. Looks a little bit like Casper the Ghost right now, huh? So let's deselect those. And so we have eye sockets. Okay, so we're starting to get this shaped out. So let's go ahead and create the beginning of a nose. We don't want to get too complicated with this, but we do want to create the beginning of a nose here. So let's get our cut tool again. Doesn't matter if we're in polygon or vertex mode or whatever, but I'm going to vertex mode because that's the next thing I'm going to do after I work on this time and get out of mesh smooth, because mesh smooth kind of messes with you when you're trying to do cutting. Alright, so I'm going to, doesn't have a big nose, it's going to be a cartoon-like nose, like I said. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a cut from here to here, and I'm going to make a cut from here to here. Okay. And I'm going to then make a cut from here to here, and I'm going to carry this cut all the way back to here, so that we end up with four-sided polygons going all the way through until we get to here, which will end up creating some triangles, but that's okay, because it's going to be way inside the head, and we're going to end up ultimately getting rid of these polygons anyway. So from here to here, and I'm going to rotate down just a little bit. Let's rotate a little bit more here. Let's do this first. Let's make a cut right here first, and then rotate. And then make a cut from here to here, and then back into here. And then go from there all the way back, if I can do it, from here all the way back to there. And there we go. And that's going to allow us, and the same thing over here, we need to make a cut from here to here. Okay. And we're going to need to make, and so that's good, and we need to, now we can delete this. I didn't need to cut from here to here, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, so we can remove, not delete, but remove this edge right here. So let's go into edge mode, select this edge, and remove it. And there we go, that's better. Go back into vertex mode. And then we can sort of shape this out a little bit now. I can just move this up. Remember, we don't ever want to move this left and right in the very middle between the symmetry modifier and our character. But right here it'll be okay. Move it up just a little bit more. And then we're going to do some more shaping and stuff later on. This I want to pull up so that it's more like the bottom of the nose a bit. Okay. Now can you guess what we're going to be doing next? We're going to be extruding out this nose, like selecting these polygons here. Except we don't want to go inward, we want to go outward. Now he looks like he has a skull going on now. So we just have to think about roughly how big do we want this nose to be. And let's just say about that big. Okay, and then there we go. Now that doesn't look so great right now, does it? But no problem. All we need to do is pull some vertices back and back and back, and then these guys on the bottom. Pull those back, and perhaps up just a little bit. Okay. And then what we can do is pull this one, oops, pull that one, kind of up at an angle, about like that, and then this one down at an angle just a little bit like that. Let's turn Mesh Smooth on and see how much of a nose he has. So he has this cute little button nose right now. So that means that we need to, with Mesh Smooth on, we can see what we really need to do here, and that is to adjust the bridge of his nose a little bit, right? So, and the nice thing about these extra vertices right here from the extrusion, we pull those out to make the bridge a little bit wider. I can also take the vertices that are here and pull them out more. I can take this right here and pull that out more to give it a little bit more of a pointiness. Pull this out a little bit more and up perhaps a little bit. I'm not trying to make this nose by any means look like a real human nose. That would be a mistake. I mean, this is so not a human character that this needs to come down. Now I'm realizing, and out like that. There we go. More. Perhaps this could come out a little bit as well. Down. Okay, now he's getting something that's a little bit more like the kind of nose that I had in mind when I created him. I think these verts need to come down a little bit more too, though. These ones here. Turn off Mesh Move for a second so I can get to them a little easier. And this one here as well. And then these guys can come down and out a little bit as well. And then these guys can come down and out a little bit as well. In fact, this one could probably go up a little bit. So let's just see what we get here when we turn Mesh Smooth back on. See what we're getting? Starting to look like a boy's face a little bit, isn't it? All right. Now we're going to be doing a whole lot more shaping to this face, and that will make a difference in how it looks as well. You know, a lot of shaping, a lot of refining is going to go on here. I think maybe this could go in and down just a little bit, and maybe this could go in just a little bit also. Get a little picky with the detail. I don't want this video to be too long, and there's going to be a lot more detail work we're going to be working on here. So that's what we're going to be doing coming up is you know, most of these videos have been called refining lately. They're going to be, now the name of the videos are going to be you know, detailing or creating details or whatever. So let's get out of vertex mode, take a look at what our dude looks like now. Starting to come together a little bit, isn't he? Starting to look like a real boy instead of Pinocchio or whatever. We're going to work on the shirt and create some more details in the next video.